Very well, thank you.
Bonjour, Marthe.
Good morning. Buenos dias.
Oh, hi, I can't even
Buenos
see
días,
you.
Kona.
Aloha, Kona.
My computer is the bottom is not moving to allow me to undo my video. So give me just a moment to arrange myself here.
Okay.
Marthe, I have a question to you. How did you manage last time to get some part of the caption yourself with the last message?
Because I had saved it. Anybody who's on the meeting and saves it can get it.
Oh,
So you didn't get any captions.
no, but this time I have checked and I have modified the Zoom setup so that it is automatically recorded each time it starts the meeting.
Okay. Oh, that's
So-
brilliant. Could you also do the A1 companion?
A1 companion, what is that?
I'll do it. I'll say summary. It's the summary.
Yeah.
Oh, it have been enabled. Okay, it
No.
automatically starts. So
Yeah.
that's perfect. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Then I must remove my A1. Can you please remove, it says Juan's A1 note taker and Martha's A1 note taker. Juan, do you want your A1 note taker? ¿Tú quieres que este continúe?
¿Quién yo?
¿Tú tienes
No,
notas?
no, vamos a quitarlo.
Okay, so you can take both of them. There are 3 AI meetings that we can take away.
Where do you see this AI meeting?
Oh, maybe you're not seeing non-video participants. Just click on show non-video participants. I think you've clicked on hide non-video participants, so you can't see them.
Oh,
You also can't see Kona then, because she's also a non-video participant.
oh yes, yes. No, I see Kona. I
Oh,
see
okay.
one. But it's true, I see one.
If I can see them, so I could probably remove them for you, but it doesn't.
No, no.
I just thought if you make me host for a second, I can quickly remove them.
How I can put you host?
You, if you click on my name and the 3 dots, or click on my picture,
yes, I see.
click on the 3 dots,
Yeah,
make
yeah.
me host. I'll quickly remove them, and then I'll make you host again.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to go start with this one. I'll click there, and I'm saying remove. Remove. I'm going to click on the other one. Martha's remove. I'm going to remove it. Don't report. And then there's an A1 meeting. I'll remove that as well. Hi. Hi, Kona. We can see you now.
Yeah.
And then Juan Vicente's A1, I'm also going to remove. Then we just us.
Okay. Okay.
Submit, but don't report. Okay. Perfect. That's now I will make you the host again.
Okay.
There we go.
The question I have, last week ago, last Wednesday, when Juan started the meeting because I was not able to connect, what would happen? Because he was not able to connect to my session because they asked a code, a specific Zoom code. Why this is happen? Is it possible to have, for example, in case I'm not here, Juan could be the host? Is it a possibility? Normally in Zoom, yes.
It is possible because David does that.
Yes.
It is possible. It's just maybe because you've never done it before. They saw somebody else entering your room and they wanted to make sure you had security.
Yeah. So I will stay with you. I will stay with you 1 hour.
Okay.
Because I have my grandson here and all the stuff. And after 7 p.m. for me, it's quite difficult to stay more.
Yeah.
If you understand.
Okay.
Okay. Kona, you have seen last time, Marthe did very well at the end of the session. with Sonjah.
Martha, you said, oh, Martha did well. Say that
Oui.
again.
At the end of the session, she TR Sonjah.
Oh, Martha, you did?
Yeah.
Yes, just he just asked me, and I closed my eyes and asked for guidance. So it's it
Wonderful.
wasn't
I missed that somehow. So congratulations.
Yeah. You will have it in the transcript summary I submit yesterday night.
Mm.
It's a short paragraph, but it's well worded. It's nice. It was a very nice message for all of us.
Wonderful. Was that Sunday?
It was Sunday. Yeah.
It was Sunday.
Very good. So I'm off the hook.
Certainly not.
I don't know if we expect other people today or.
Bob Wilson is supposed to be
Yes.
joining us, and I
Yes.
sent him let me check my email because I sent him.
No, he accepted. Yeah, it's true.
So let's just wait 1 second.
Okay.
And B?
I've not seen the acceptation.
Okay.
Well, I sent him. Hmm.
Oh, there's Bob.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm just going to.
Good morning, Bob.
Good morning.
Good morning, Bob.
Bonjour, Bob.
Good morning,
Bob,
everyone.
did you find did you use the invitation I sent you, or did you find the one that was sent to you?
I used the one you sent me.
Okay, very good. We need to get that straightened out.
Well, he sent me one. It's just had everything on it, but I clicked on the yes on it that I would attend, and it disappeared on me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it should have popped back up in your email, but
It didn't.
one moment, I'll be right back.
My email gives me problems sometimes.
Yes, Juan.
Marta, ¿recuerda qué día es hoy?
¿Tu cumpleaños o no? Oh, no, el día cumpleaños de Jesús.
Exactamente.
It's the birthday of Jesus, yes.
Yeah.
Creo que debiéramos hacer algo al respecto
Yes.
con tu linda voz.
Do you want us to do a prayer?
Con tu linda voz, Marta.
Jacques, would you like me to start with a prayer
Yes, yes.
to Michael of Nabadon?
Yes, to Michael, because it's, yeah. Kona is okay? Still online? Yeah.
Kona, you still online?
She's muted.
Yeah, but I think she is away for a few seconds. We need to wait for her.
Yeah. Let me turn my.
Shall I wait for Kona?
I would say yes. She's not far. But...
Shall we have a minute's silence in the meantime in the hope
yes,
that she'll
okay.
come?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Please center your mind. Center your heart. Connect to your soul adjuster. Connect to all mind as one, one heart, one soul, one adjuster circuit, so that we may connect to our celestial brothers and sisters, all help us warrior to guide us today. Stay in silence for a few seconds. Marthe, you wish.
Thank you. Michael of Nebadon, our system sovereign, who walked amongst us as Jesus of Nazareth. Today is your birthday, your earth birthday. Thank you so much for bestowing yourselves amongst us. Thank you so much for living a human life and for all the lessons you've taught us about your incredibly powerful character that was filled with love and peace and kindness. How you managed to keep your disciples together, how you listened to us with our human problems, and how you always gave answers that managed to empower those around you. Jesus of Nazareth, our system administrator, as Michael of Nebadon and Mother Nebadonia, your helpmate, Makiventa Melchizedek, our planetary manager, and Manjaranson, our magisterial son, beings of light. We are so touched by the humanity of our spiritual teachers, by the fact that you've lived amongst us in human time, our struggles. You know how difficult it is for us to follow the thin threads of spiritual crumbs that you lead us on with, to try and teach us to overcome our animal instincts and behave in ways that are kind and generous and loving to ourselves and to others. Michael of Nebadon, we are part of your divine intention, and we wish to grow in celestial perfection, to become like your Father, whom you took so much time to communicate with in your life as Jesus of Nazareth. We want to learn from you. We want to see your human life that started on this day in recorded time, and where you came to show us the different cycles that we need to go through to fuse with our internal adjusters. Michael of Nebadon, look upon us with kindness, teach us to learn from this amazing lesson you came to bestow on our planet. You see us now, those of us present in this meeting, trying to listen to our celestial teachers and do things that will benefit the greatest amount of people for the longest amount of time. We wish you a very special Earth birthday. Please guide us as we seek to follow in your footsteps and use your example of discipline and love to forge a new way and a new revelation of your life on Earth. We thank you for your presence. We thank you for the presence of all our celestial teachers. Please use the talents of every one of us. In our peculiar humanity, every one of us with our human histories, use that to your benefit and to the unfolding benefit of the fifth epochal revelation on this planet at this time. We ask this in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, world without end. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Martha.
Thank you, Martha.
You're welcome.
Very, very nice prayer. Wow. You connect everything together now. Everything is connected. So, my friends, my beautiful friends, what is on the agenda today? I must know I have not something ready, but maybe you have yourself on your side things to continue to discuss. Kona?
Thank you. And
Oh, yeah, Martha.
should I was
Yes,
just going to suggest as well, I just want to make Kona aware of where we'd ended. We had ended, my son attended the meeting on Sunday. He gave us some advice on the children's portion, or, you know, how do we present this to people who are youthful? And then I also just want to mention, so I think Kona will lead us from there in the design team methodology, but I also just wanted to mention that Stefan, who's a new person who's been attending some of our YOAM meetings, has done some tests of using text and translating them using ChatGPT for a 14 to 8 to 16-year-old audience. So he's done some amazing work, which I think we should look at and see how we can incorporate it into the work we do. Thank you.
That's very exciting. I'm feeling that Sonjah has a message for us this morning. I don't have any idea what that is, and we decided that we would start Wednesdays with Sonjah if Sonjah becomes available. So thank you for the introduction. Martha, let me just take a minute and get grounded here, and then we'll see what Sonjah had to say for us, okay? Hello, this is Sonjah. Thank you so much for your greeting and well wishes for all of you and for our team that is here. We are very pleased at the progress that you have made. We're watching it very closely to see how we also might learn from you how to reach this younger generation on your planet. So thank you for taking the time to include a younger person in this process. We will look over these design steps carefully as well to see where we might be able to implement new concepts and ideas into the other groups that we are working with across the globe. Your work here is not just about the work that you do, but it is about putting into the collective conscience the things that will work in other areas on the globe. You have a tremendous influence, more than you know, on those things that are done, not just where you are and with you, but in other groups as well, because you take the time to connect with us as your planetary management team, your teachers, and your guides. So we appreciate that very much. We want you to continue to explore this design team process, co-creative design team process, as you continue to work with each other and with us to see what things that you believe are necessary to enhance this process. Look at all of your skills, all of your technologies, all of your capacities to interact, and perhaps highlight those things that are the most important that you would want another group to take a look at or be cognizant of. This helps us on this side to get that information into other groups. We can communicate with thought adjusters who are willing to receive new information and inspiration. Think of yourselves like a think tank. You are creating in a very profound way. Whether you accomplish any other goal other than just thinking through these processes is actually quite irrelevant. It's just extremely important that you take the time to examine, much like you did with the group and examining your biases and assumptions when it came to missing your friend and companion Juan. You took a look at what happened within your group to see if there was any adjustment that you needed to make, and you did. When you do things like this, it puts into motion those same types of activities into the collective conscience that affect other groups that are trying to do similar work as to yourselves. So this becomes a very important aspect of the work that you do. Now, I ask you, what would be another aspect of this process that you think is important for the collective conscience, for people who are tapping into the spirit to know and understand if they're doing similar work to you? If you look at all of your processes, which you can examine today with me or on your own, what do you think, let's say, are the three most important aspects of the work that you are doing? That's the majority of the communication that I have for you, is to just be aware, again, that what you do and what you accomplish are more or less important than you actually working through and understanding these processes as important. Do you have any questions for me?
I have a question.
Yes, Bob.
Thank you.
I feel that as she asked that what's important to us, what three things, and to me, it seems to me that that the Celestials are here and that they're here to guide us. And what it said they have a plan, and what are some basic elements of the plan that you want us to share? Thank you.
Thank you for your observation. So if I understand that you're saying the three most important pieces are that you have conscious contact with celestials, that we are here among you, we have a plan, and your question is, what is the most important thing to communicate in that plan? Is that your question?
Yes, it is.
Thank you very much. Well, you outlined it yourself. You want to communicate that there are celestials, so that might be the most important thing. So how would you go about sharing that you work co-creatively with celestials in a very positive way? That's my question to you.
I'll share with my family and friends, and I don't have a big presence online because I'm not socially connected online. But I do have everyone in the, well, not everyone, but quite a few people that were in Mission Urenti and also this group here. And I like sharing with all of you, but I think we need to be able to have some kind of outlet for our process of getting word out to other people, which is a website. And I think that should be a primary function of our group, if nothing else. And I would like to see us working along with you all on that process, if possible.
Thank you for that answer. So let me rephrase my question. In your communications with others about your work with celestials, how can you communicate to them how this works, how you feel about it, and the positive outcomes of the work that you do with celestials? Perhaps you can give insight into others as to how this process actually works and its effectiveness. That gives you confidence, and it also gives confidence to your listeners. Is that clear?
Well, how it works with me is that I share my life and my experiences with my family and friends. And I feel we should do the same thing with others to make this available to others. And in that process, I find that my own contact with celestials, I listen to them occasionally. I have some contact. And I try to express that to my family and also my friends that I have this contact and that they could have it too if they just listen to the spirit within.
Thank you for that. And how is that received?
So my family is very open to it, but they don't dedicate a lot of time to service to that. They are open to the fact that there are celestials, but they have busy lives with their children and with their work and everything, that they can't spend as much time as we do because we dedicate our lives and spend time with these things, and the difference is quite a bit. We spend hours and hours every week with it, but they only have a few minutes here and there that they can really contribute because of their work lives and because of their dedication to their own families and things. So it's kind of they're aware of celestials, but they don't put priority to it that possibly they could, and possibly that they see the value in doing so.
That's a great answer. And so let me ask you another question. Since time seems to be of the essence for those that you are communicating with, and they have other values outside of that, let's say, how do we compare in comparison to their cellular phone? If they understood that constant contact was as much of a value or more of a value than a cellular phone, then maybe they might understand the necessity of having contact with us. Could you explore that idea?
That's a good idea. With younger people, that is so, they spend a lot of time on the cellular phones, but as far as my daughter goes and others of her generation, they spend more time with contact face to face with their families and with their friends and with their work, and they don't have as much time to spend on anything that's outside of those things. And so it's difficult for them to spend much time. Like my daughter loved to spend times on doing her transcripts some weeks ago, but she's so busy with family matters and everything. She handles all the finances for all of our family, everyone in our family. She not only does that, but she is involved in getting groceries and in getting other items for her family. She's keeps the house. She does the dishes. She cooks. She's doing all these sorts of things. And so she just didn't have a whole lot of time to spend like she used to have more time available, but she has a hard time being available for going over transcripts, let alone anything else. So it's kind of tough for her to do what Celestials would probably ask of her. Oh, well, they probably realize what she has to do, but I mean, it's really kind of tough for her to get things done with all that she does.
I am curious about the concept that it takes time away from daily activities to be with us when we are with you all of your time. To have the concept that you have to separate yourself from your daily activities in order to connect with us is foreign, considering you have a thought adjuster that is with you every moment of every day of your life. So perhaps the communication that you can give to them and even to yourselves is that you do not have to separate yourself from your activities to take quote unquote more time to be with us, since we are always with you. We are as close as every cell in your body, if not even closer. And especially to your mind, since that is where we connect, and with your heart. So perhaps
That's a good-
today is a good time to reflect on your perception of how you take time with us.
Mhm.
These moments together in community where we communicate with you directly are rare indeed, but they are not necessary for you to do the work of your calling. Each one of you, I know personally, connects with your thought adjuster and your other life carriers around you and celestials. You connect with them on a regular basis. You do not have to come to this meeting to get inspiration or information. The communication that's going to be most profound to your circle of influence and to the world is exactly that. This doesn't require a special time to set aside, driving down the road, doing the dishes, doing the laundry, sitting at the computer, walking to and from the store or to your car even, is the perfect time to connect with the celestials. Any time is the perfect time to connect, and that is our greatest message. We are not here to be relegated to a meeting, a place of worship, a time for worship. This is not the same as your religious worship experience that is part of your history. We are with you always, and this is the greatest gift of communication you can give to your sphere of influence and to the world.
Oh, wow. Because that's exactly what my daughter does. She's with the spirit all the time. She listens to it all continuously. So it's just that she's not able to make these meetings and stuff is what I'm addressing. But the fact is that she is in touch with her spirit continuously. So, yeah,
Well, then the perspective changes for you then and not her.
right, right.
Thank you for that communication.
Thank you, Sonjah. This is Jacques. I have a question to you.
Sure, Jacques.
You said you want us to communicate outside and share the co-creative experience we have with you. And you said also that around the world there are many groups working on the same on other project, but they are all linked together like a puzzle. I understand that you, Celestial, are working very hard behind the scene to connect all groups together. My first question is, is it possible for us to be aware of other group that we have to link together or not?
Thank you for your question, and think of it like this. You can go to your internet and you can surf the internet for information from anywhere on the globe, from any number of sources. You are already connected to all of these other groups. You simply have to inquire about who they are or where they are to find them. So you can put in your search mechanism either on the internet or through your thought adjuster or with us a way to connect with other groups. But consider the fact that there are millions of people on your planet doing this work. So how important is it for you to connect to every one of those millions and or billions of people in order for you to do the work that you're doing here today? You are energetically connected to each and every other person on this planet already. That is a sufficient connection. Again, your work here is to create new ideas to put into the collective conscience of humanity that will have that ripple effect that we discussed before, like a tsunami, the tsunami ripple effect. So you will be connected to those other groups, whether you are aware of it or not, because of the energy imprint on your planet and in your thought patterns. Does that answer your question?
Completely. I have even experienced recently that one person contacted me asking for an interview, and I thought that this request came because this is a link you are creating outside. And she wants me, it's not yet done, to share my experience of co-creativity. So this is one I have interpreted it as a link from celestial side to me to promote this kind of activity.
Exactly. You are beginning to see the connection that you have through us and into the world. And as you desire these connections, we will begin to make those connections for you. It simply has to be a spark, a thought in your mind that you want to do that. So now you need to prepare in how you would respond to that interview, because in that interview, you have the greater opportunity to share how your connection to the celestials works. What is the most important aspect for you? For your colleague here, Bob, he said that it is that we are here. So for you, if you go to that interview and you want to express, well, I communicate with celestials, how does that work and what does it mean to you? And how do other people do that? And why should they? Those are the things you would prepare in your spirit and mind. Of course, your thought adjuster will be with you and we will be with you in preparing those kinds of statements. And if you simply tap into the spirit at the time of the interview, everything will be given to you, whether you are cognizant of the answers or not. It will be ready-made for you. Thank you for sharing that information. We are very excited on your behalf.
Thank you very much, Sonjah. It is very
Sure.
clear for me. Other question?
Thank you. I have a question. Thank you, Sonjah, or maybe an answer. I just, rather an answer to your question and then a question. So my answer to the question is that in my understanding, the most important part of the design team is that we grow our souls, that we become that we become aware of all the biases and assumptions that keep us from being more godlike. And so it is a wonderful opportunity for people to see the difference between our animal behaviors and more celestially minded behaviors. So I guess because each of us are being asked to communicate with our thought adjusters, having a group of people so connected means we can make decisions that are deeply informed by celestial wisdom while we work on our own soul growth. So that was the first one. The second one, Sonjah, is given that there are so many of us who work in both Yowam and in the Fridays team, that has now become a Sunday and a Wednesday team as well. I wanted to know how we can best collaborate with celestials doing so many different things. We received a message from Makiventa saying that he didn't feel that we were responding adequately to the request of the spiritual administration to make their presence known. Seeing that we are slowly working on different parts of the design team model, the 7 values, etc., I wondered, do we need to stop doing that and focus more on making your presence known? Please guide us here.
Thank you very much for the expression of your concerns. You spoke about your soul. I would like to make a comment on your perception of soul growth. Understand that your soul is an accumulation of all of your experiences. Soul growth is going to happen whether it is for the good or for the bad, as you might say. Soul growth is simply soul growth because you have experienced every moment of every day of your life. So to pocket soul growth into one category as if it's black or white would be relatively inaccurate about the growth of your soul. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you, but please explain more. You said that soul growth can also be negative.
Your
It will
soul is your soul is a community. Your soul is, one moment. Your soul is a collection of all of your experiences. If you have a negative experience, an unpleasant moment, a trauma, does it not contribute to your life experience?
Yes.
And if that trauma contributes to your life experience, it becomes part of your soul growth. So, from the terms positive and negative, which are also not quite the terms that we would use on this side, it is possible to have growth, positive growth, even out of a traumatic event. So the soul is your collection of all experiences. So try not to judge yourself too harshly and live a virtuous life, which impedes actually your progress of having many experiences in your lifetime. It is a false assumption to live only as virtuous because it cuts off all of the possibilities of making mistakes. And do you not learn from your mistakes?
Yes, we certainly do. Thank you very much, Sonjah.
Certainly. Now, for your second question with regards to your multiple associations, my first question to you is, when you heard the message from Makaventa, what did your thought adjuster say to you about that message?
I do not have an answer to that. I have not passed it by my thought adjuster.
That might be a good place to begin because remember, this is a co-creative process. So a message from one TR to you must always be passed through your thought adjuster and discerned for your own personal understanding. Makaventa is as close to you as your thought adjuster at any given time, and you can always ask for clarity, and your spirit, your indwelling spirit, will also give you much information regards to the messages that you hear. We are working with very imperfect mortals. Even this one here has her good side, quote unquote, her bad side, quote unquote, and that person can show up at any particular time. So it's always extremely important that you rely less upon us in these messages and more upon your thought adjusters, which has, I think, been communicated to you many times through many TRs. Not that we do not care to communicate with you in this way. We certainly cherish these moments with you. But when you ask us to discern a message from another TR in a different moment, that becomes very complicated in that that message must first go through your TR in that moment. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Sonjah.
Certainly. So now for the bigger question is, it seems that you really are concerned about the amount of time that you're spending in multiple places. Is that correct?
Certainly, I would only be concerned about the amount of time if we were not spending it in the most positive way to unfold divine intention.
I'm always curious when I hear the word spending time as if it is a currency in your world. Time is not necessarily a currency, considering we are out of time. So I'm having a bit of a chuckle listening to you talk about spending time. Pardon me for that side. One moment. Let's go back to your concern about soul growth. Every single moment that you are with us is an addition to soul growth. You are growing in the experience. So your currency of time and the amount that you spend with us contributes to your soul growth, whether or not there is an end product. Again, as I stated earlier in this conversation, you are more like a think tank. Your openness to celestial contact gives us the opportunity to spend time, as you say, with you, to encourage your thought processes, to strengthen your connection to spirit, to strengthen your connection to Christ Michael, Mother Nebudonia, Macaventa, and myself. This is strengthening our communication into your planet through you as you are conduits for our presence. The time that you take to be here becomes an open window for us to manifest in many places all at the same time, so to speak, as you say. So just being here, opening the door or the window, is allowing something like the fresh air into your world. And by being here in these conversations with us, we come and go more freely because you have given us permission to be here with you. That is the greatest gift that you can give to this planet, and your fellows on this planet. The end product that you humans and co-creative mortals with us are seeking for is not necessarily the end goal for us. The end goal for us is communication. And this is the most precious thing that we can have with you on this planet. That is the purpose for this conversation today, to explore what you think about communication and how you can express this communication that you have with us to others in a very creative and effective way, so that more people on your planet would like to have the same types of communication. So let's explore this topic a little bit more.
Thank you very much, Sonjah.
Certainly, you're most welcome. Any other questions around that topic?
So if this is Jack, so I understand you very well. Most important thing is for us to make other people around the world aware that you are here and you are present at any time, always, in all ways. So co-creativity is a way to make project, but a video of our own experience, all these team members here, that we will put on YouTube is probably the most powerful tool we have to announce your presence here, and certainly also to announce that every person on earth is able to connect with you at any time. Is that correct?
That sounds like a very fair assumption, Jock. Yes, because you are creating this moment in a video project that allows people to see, as you might say, sane people communicating with celestials through a TR. And it is a very, let's say, logical or commonplace, and you are discussing things that are important to you that would positively, in your words, affect the planet. So it's a good way to show others that celestial contact is very grounded and very real amongst very grounded and very real people. This is an important concept for this generation because there has been so much misinformation during the rebellion about what it means to have contact with celestials. It has been taken as a very religious experience, and we are moving into a less religious experience and making this more commonplace to the average person, whether they want a religious experience or not. It is the next step in your evolution, and it is coming very quickly. Thanks to the work that you are doing.
Thank you, Sonjah.
Certainly.
The other aspect, I've already discussed that some time ago, but for me also, another aspect could be, I know that some book explains the life after death, which are very good. I often refer to the Borgia books. It's also, for me, a way to touch people, to know that after death, there is something that exists, because today it's often denied. What do you think about that?
What is your question, or is
Yeah,
this
no,
a
yes.
comment?
Now, my question, my simple question is, promoting books such as the Borgia's book about life after death experience, is this a correct way to promote also the connection with spirit.
Certainly, there are people who have in mind to know whether there is existence after this life, and that does make a difference for them in determining how they live this life. If you are living your life as if you are on the ascension career, how can you communicate that to others? Other than a book that talks about life after death, you personally on an ascension career, how would you communicate that to others instead of referring them to a book about life after death? That
Okay,
way it becomes more personal.
okay, and understand. What you want me to refer is to my own experience with this daily connection with my thought adjusters, my guardian angels, and all else helpers we can ask every day, every time, in every moment. Yes, okay, I understand. It's
Yes,
I
because
would
it
refer to my
becomes,
yes. So
sorry.
I would say then it becomes my own experience shared with others.
Yes, it is more personal. To constantly refer to this book or that book is going to be off-putting because people do not have time to read books, but they have every moment of every day to connect with their thought adjuster. If you can encourage people about your personal ascension career and what that means to you, and that you connect with your thought adjuster every moment of every day at some point, then it becomes more meaningful than referring them to a book. You could say, this book says this and this book says that, but you are a people of books. And there are millions upon millions of books, each with different ideas. What is going to be the most meaningful is that you live fully in your life experience and share your personal interactions with others as those moments become available. So, for instance, if you experience something like your grandson who has a question about you, and maybe he asks you what you think about a tragedy or a death, you have the perfect opportunity to explain to him that you believe that it's just a transition into the next phase of your life. And you could give him much peace of mind in that thought that he will take with him in his lifetime and open the doors to have many more conversations. If you instead referred him to a book, he would not have an answer and he may never open that book. Does that make sense?
Yes, you are completely correct. This is what I'm trying with my grandsons, is to put some seeds. It's a slope, I realize, from the human side. They are 9 and 11, but it's a very slow process because the condition around them. But still, I am seeding. Try to seed every day a small seed, no more.
If you ask Spirit for more opportunities, those opportunities will arise for you. Don't forget to be co-creative in this process.
Yes, you are right. Sometimes I forget that, but you are right.
Mhm. Certainly, Spirit has every reason to want to reach your grandsons as much or more than you do, even. Once you have ascended and are with us here on the other side, your grandsons will still be seeking answers. And we want you to give them as many possibilities as possible while you are with them. So please make sure to request, whether it's farming or fishing or gardening or playtime or work time, inquire of us how we can best communicate through you to your grandsons, and we will be there with you instantaneously.
Message receive 5 by 5.
Thank you very much for your concern about these young ones. We love to see them spend time with you, honestly.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
Any more questions, my friends and colleagues? Well, perhaps I have given you
Could I make
enough
a
to
comment?
think about today. Of course, always.
My comment is that, your last answer, I think, hits it right on the head. We have to, in our day lives, be able to share the spirit, not just because we have these meetings a few hours here and there, or not just because we read the Urantia book, but because of our man-to-man and day-to-day lives, of how the spirit helps us and guides us, and how to share that with others around us. That's awesome.
That is the most valuable thing that you can do. So, for example, since you have commented here, let's say you're with family and you all have to make a decision. If you simply pause and say, give me a moment to check in with my thought adjuster, and you take a pause, you are setting an example for them on how to incorporate spirit and your thought adjuster into a practical moment in your life. They will notice. And then when you receive an answer that is beneficial for the family, they will take even more notice. This is simply one example of a way to incorporate your co-creativity into your daily life as an example with your family.
It's so important.
This is actually the most important gift that you can give your family, is an awareness of how we operate in your life co-creatively. It would bring us so much joy to be able to touch more lives in this way, and we can only do it through you and how you set the example for others.
We are with you, Sonjah. That was so beautiful. And I just wanted to say, for me, that is so encouraging to know that I have a 14-year-old son, and I think the biggest gift I can give him is an awareness of his indwelling spirit. And to know that you care as much about that as I do is very comforting. Thank you very much. And your reminder of the divine pause. Thanks.
You are very welcome. That is why we enjoy these conversations with you. Any other questions today? If not, there is much chaos in the world. I would wish you great peace in your personal lives, so that that peace may radiate from you across the planet in this circuit to all that you encounter and in every circumstance that you ponder. And I wish you great love and joy throughout your day. Thank you for making time for me today.
Thank you very much. Sonjah, thank you very much, Kona.
Thank you for that transmission, Kona. That was lovely.
You're very welcome, my friends. It's pretty powerful.
Hmm. Hmm.
I just had an input, and that's that sometimes the spirit does things collectively. Like I could have communications from my angel, but my angel's transferring what they're receiving from Michael or Nebudonia, and they're receiving things from Eternal Father. So it's just kind of a whole bunch of things together as one communication from many sources, and they're all in agreement. They do a lot of things like that together, a lot of that oneness that it's hard for us to understand, but it's so prevalent in the way of doing things celestially that I find is awesome.
Then you become like a satellite that pings that piece of information to the next satellite, which may not even be a personal conversation, but the fact that you receive it, you think about it, then it gets sent out in more energy waves.
Exactly.
So I think, one of the greatest lessons I personally have had, and this was before I knew Christ even, was the power of the thought. I don't know if I've ever shared a story about a car accident that I was in with you guys, have I?
No, no.
No.
So 1989, I was in a very difficult first marriage, and I was going to go on holiday with some friends to get away from my husband at the time and the kids, just so that I could kind of get grounded. And before I left, I had a premonition that I was going to be in a car accident and die.
Mm.
And it was very it was like right in my face. It was a very spiritual, palpable thought. And I made a decision that I wasn't going to die, because I had too much to live for. And no matter what I had done, I was not deserving of death, because that was a thought coming from the religious group that I was in, that, I was a bad person or whatever. And so I made the decision that I wasn't going to die. So I went on the trip, and about 3 days into the trip, we were traveling from Georgia to California. And we had just gotten into the car in the very early morning hours, and it was my vehicle that I was in, but I wasn't driving. I was sitting in the back. And I had just settled into a sleeping bag and was going to take a rest before my part of the drive. And I looked out the window and I had the thought, I wonder when it's going to happen, meaning that accident. And as soon as I had that thought, we hit ice. The car rolled. The last thing I remember is putting my hand out before hitting the window. The next thing I remember was I came to, and I was being drugged half in and half out of we were in a minivan, and the top of the minivan was in front of me. So the minivan was on its side, and I was half in and half out, being drugged across the median, then up onto the other side of the road. And I had a terrible headache and my hand hurt. And then I had to have my fingers were dislocated in 3 places, and I had a concussion, and my van was done, and we were in 2 cars. They had to go on without me, and I had to fly back. But my most valuable lesson is I controlled that with my thoughts. Instead of saying, no, I'm not going to have an accident, I said, I wonder when it's going to happen. That was my first lesson in the power of our mind. And after that, I began to pay attention to my thought patterns and how I was thinking and what I was thinking and how it impacted me. And I have been very cognizant to make sure that I stay in a vortex of positive thinking, because the power of the mind to create negative circumstances is overwhelming. And I'm a firsthand witness to that. So that was one of my first lessons in relating to the supernatural and to spirit.
Powerful lesson.
Mhm. Yeah, that's how powerful our mind is. I'm so happy that I can co-create with celestials who intend my good. That's why it's so important for me to tap into,
Yeah.
you know, my thought adjuster and, you know, Jesus when I knew as Jesus and Christ Michael and Mother Nebudonia, because if I can keep my mind in alignment with the will of the Father, then the outcome is going to be to the benefit of everyone.
Juan?
No, estoy oyendo esa historia. Cada quien tiene lo suyo, ¿no? Cada quien tiene un comienzo. Cada quien tiene una forma diferente de despertarse. La mía fue muy diferente, pero bastante satisfactoria.
Could you give us a
Nuestra música-
translation, Martha? That didn't translate very well.
He says, no, he just said it's so interesting that each person has their way and that his was very different, but the end was very satisfactory. But yeah, it's not translating well at all. What was your experience, Juan?
Bueno, yo era ateo, no creía en Dios
He was an atheist and didn't believe in God.
y no me importaba la vida. Morir, vivir, era igual.
It wasn't,
muy-
didn't matter whether he was. Tengo que traducir porque no está traduciendo. He was
Okay.
saying that it didn't matter whether he lived or died.
Entonces, yo me lo pasaba en carros muy rápidos y siempre iba a altísima velocidad.
I always went very quickly in cars and drove very fast.
Era con un fin de más o menos desaparecer en cualquier momento, o sea, no me importaba,
And
porque
he
yo
drove in
tenía
a
una
way that
vida
could make
muy
him
buena.
way that could make him die in any moment, and it didn't matter because he didn't care much about his life.
Un día me quedé en casa
One day he
porque,
remained at home
porque estaban haciendo unos arreglos en el piso
he was fixing something in the floor,
y en mi biblioteca había un poco de libros que me habían regalado un amigo hacía 3 años.
and there were some books in his library that a friend had given him 3 years prior to that,
Que nunca había tomado la intención de leerlos, para nada.
and he'd never tried to read those books.
Pero ese día fui y tomé un libro que se llamaba Crepúsculo, de
One day
Lobsang Rampa.
he took a book called Crepúsculo, written by who? Sorry, Juan?
Lobsang Rampa.
Alop Samarapa.
Y empecé a leerlo. Me terminé ese libro y habían otros más y todo me lo leí en ese tiempo.
He finished reading that book, and there were other books just like that, and he finished reading all of them.
Cuando se me terminaron, fui hasta una zona donde vendían libros usados y compré toda la colección.
And when he finished that, he went to a used book store and he bought the whole collection of those books.
Esos libros me enseñaron que sí había Dios, que sí estaba, que sí existía, pero yo no sabía cómo.
Those books taught him that God did exist, but he didn't know how.
Que había un mundo espiritual, pero que yo no lo comprendía, ni lo podía ver, ni lo podía sentir, pero sabía ya que había algo diferente y que sí había esperanza para que yo siguiera viviendo.
He knew that there was a spiritual world, but he didn't know how to contact it, and he knew there was hope that there was a reason why he should continue to live.
Eso me dio la razón de vivir, la razón de seguir adelante. Y de ese momento mi vida cambió de gris a lo más esplendorosa que se pueda.
So those books gave him the desire to live and the desire to continue with his life. And on that day, his life changed from gray to the most splendorous experience of life.
Ese fue el punto de partida para que yo empezara entonces a hacer más búsqueda y empecé con la parte esotérica, astrología, cartas, todo tipo de suerte de adivinaciones que hay en este momento.
So that started him on this road looking for further examples of the esoteric, of the spiritual cards, and other things that spoke to that experience of divine existence.
Pero había algo que no me llenaba. Siempre había una búsqueda adicional. O sea, ajá, y después de esto, ¿qué más?
He was never fulfilled. He always had a continuous search. What lies beyond? What else is there?
Quería decir que había un vacío, todavía había una sed de conocimientos.
There was a great thirst for knowledge, and he was still very hungry to know more.
Y a veces la fe en Dios decaía demasiado.
And sometimes the faith in God got, fell down.
Y un día, por cuestiones que no sé cómo, llegué hasta el libro Durantia.
And then one day he came to the Urantia book.
Y llegué a las transcripciones también.
And he came to the transcriptions.
A las misiones de enseñanza, a la magisterial.
The teaching mission, the magisterial mission.
Sí. Y aquí sí tuve la certeza de que había conseguido lo que yo quería.
And then he had the certainty that he has found what he was looking for.
Y que no hay nada que me pueda bajar la fe para nada. Siempre la fe constante, pero creciendo cada vez. O sea,
And there was
nunca
nothing,
disminuyendo.
there was
Nunca
nothing
dudando.
that, sorry to interrupt, there was nothing that could stop his or bring down his faith. It was clear that he was in the right place.
Y la gran sorpresa mía es que estoy aquí junto a ustedes. ¿Cómo llegué? No sé, lo sé. Pero sí, creo que estoy junto con ustedes, estoy contribuyendo a hacer algo por el Espíritu.
And the great surprise was how he got to be with all of us. And yet he knows that by being together, he is doing something to contribute to spirit.
Gracias,
Marthe.
Juan. Gracias, Juan.
Gracias a ti.
That's pretty amazing. You didn't have to have any sort of religious conversion ever. This is your only experience is with celestials. What a beautiful thing. So many of us have had to go through,
Religions and all kinds of things.
yeah, getting, coming out of religions that haven't worked. I mean, 30 years for me in the church that never worked. So it's very exciting to meet somebody who's went from one place into this community, unless I got part of your story wrong, Juan.
Juan, you want
sí, lo que pasa es que a mí me criaron católico, pero yo desde pequeño comencé a leer el catecismo, que es un librito, algo así, que usan los católicos para evangelizar.
I just
Además,
quickly want to translate. He was saying he was brought up Catholic, but since he was small, he was starting to read his catechisms, which was what they were taught to, to lead him into that religious tradition.
y cualquier educación religiosa que tuve, la obtuve por mí mismo. Nadie me la enseñó, sino que yo leía, me atraía eso. Pero después me dejé porque yo veía a un sacerdote ser un ser humano igual que los demás, tenía los mismos vicios, entonces yo me preguntaba ¿qué ejemplo me podría dar una persona que soy igual que es igual que yo?
I just want to stop you there. Sorry, I just want to say, so he was saying he's an autodidact. He taught himself everything he knew about religion, and he saw all the priests just like himself. So he thought, what example can you give me when you are just like me?
Y bueno, crecí, mejor dicho, sin religión. La religión la tomé solamente para los fines sociales, bautismo, confirmación, porque yo nunca le negué a mis hijos a escoger la religión que quisieran. Nunca los induje a ninguna religión. Escojan la que
So
usted quiera.
he said he really grew up without religion because he only used religion for the social uses of being baptized and being confirmed, and he never asked his children to belong to that religion.
Hmm.
Bueno, ellos en realidad ahorita no tienen religión, son parecidos a mí. Algunos se declaran agnósticos, que yo creo que yo no creo que lo sean, pero siempre les respeto su forma de pensar y cuando puedo inyectarle algo de lo que yo hago, sí lo hago, pero sin ser intrusivo, sin querer imponerse.
I just want so he was saying, so some of his children are even agnostic because he's never asked them to follow any religious route. And he tries very carefully to share some of his own things, but without, insisting that they believe what he does, but he just gently lets them know what he does.
That's a good way to do it.
Y bueno, yo creo que ellos poco a poco van a ir agarrando el camino. Yo pienso que esa es su forma de vivir y ellos tendrán el momento en que van a despertar totalmente. Están semidespiertos. Algún día despertarán y seguirán el camino que deban. Pero sin que yo se los imponga, sin que tengan que hacer lo que yo hago. Si no
So
me quieren escuchar, que no me escuchen, pero yo estoy ahí. Soy su papá.
he believes that one day they will be awoken, that they'll just wake up by themselves and follow the path that he's been on, but without him telling them to do so. And it will just happen by them awakening.
Could you tell him
Gracias,
thanks
Marthe.
a lot, Jox? Thanks a lot, Juan. Appreciate him sharing his life story with us, and it's remarkable.
¿Tú entendiste que él dice que él aprecia mucho que tú has compartido tu cuento de vida y piensa que es muy impresionante?
Sí, tú sabes que yo puse esto en inglés, los subtítulos en inglés y yo los leo. A veces me cuesta un poquito conseguirle el sentido, pero sí lo entendí muy bien.
Perfecto. Juan, quería preguntarte, porque no te estaba traduciendo, ¿puedes mirar que tú lo tienes en español?
No, es que yo no lo tengo así de esa manera. Solamente aparece, ya va, un momentito.
Oh, I see the caption language.
Sí, no aparece.
Tú no tienes
Por lo menos
caption language.
dice idioma de subtítulos. Los puse en inglés porque
No, pero tiene que ser español. El tuyo
no
tiene que
es-
ser en español.
cuando dicen dos veces, pero en la mía dicen una sola
Ah.
vez.
Yeah, okay, so we have a problem here because in
Sí,
this version, it only shows one caption language, not two. It doesn't show, so, but I think you have to say Spanish. Ponlo en Spanish y hablas y miramos que te, let's see if it
déjame ver.
translates you. Okay, ahora sí hablas cuando está en español.
Va un momento que lo estoy buscándolo. Español. Ok, está en español.
Okay.
Ahora veo lo que digo en español.
Okay, so no, so it's not going to help you, yeah, but it's not translating his language into English. Tienes razón, Juan, así no es. Debe ser tal vez en inglés.
Sí, Jack tiene que acomodar esa parte, porque es el dueño de la cuenta y es el que tiene que acomodar esa parte.
Jacques' model is not what he doesn't have the translation function. That would explain it.
Okay. Thank you for translating it, Martha.
Pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, Juan, for sharing all of that. It's very interesting to get to know each of you a little bit better and, you know, our life stories. We get a little bit more each day, each time we gather to learn. Bob, you shared a lot with us the last time I was here, which I greatly appreciate, you know, your transparency and sharing your life. So I think that's one of the things that bonds a community, right? We get to know each other,
Mhm.
even though we're not in the same location.
Yes.
So it's very helpful, shows
I know in
trust.
my life, I may not have said much about it, but I was spiritual for some time, but I tried to pull myself in the mold of the Mormon Church, and I was in the Mormon Church for about 40 years, and I met a lot of wonderful people there. There's some great people there, but at the same time, they were very authority or kind of aligned and that sort of thing. And I found that that wasn't really what I liked because I believe that we each have our spiritual development and growth is on par with everybody else, and that other people aren't really meant to be in charge of millions of people and lead them in certain ways. So that's why I kind of got away from that.
Mm.
It's interesting, all of, you know, each one of us has had a different life experience. I'm reflecting on what Sonjah said about soul growth, right? Each of those experiences contributes to our soul growth. No matter, you know, whether you stuck with it or not, you know, your 40 years with the Mormon Church is not lost. You know,
No, there's some great things though. Like I learned a lot of survival abilities and things from them that were really phenomenal. And they have some survival things in the church that are just awesome for their support of each other and helping each other through hard times and being prepared for hard times and that sort of thing. I mean, in the end, they'll be one of the few organizations that probably make it through because of their organization of being able to handle it through a lot of hard times. But I think all of us can learn from that. But I feel also that the Spirit is our guide and lead each of us individually in such things. But because I know from my own experience in Vietnam, it's kind of interesting in Vietnam, I relied on the Spirit a lot. And I went about a year and a half with maybe about 3 or 4 dozen meals during that whole time. The rest of the time I just didn't eat. And I went sometimes weeks without much eating. And I made it through fine because the Spirit was with me. So I have a feeling that if push comes to shove, the Spirit will help a lot of us in that way if necessary. But just so much is ahead of us that if we survive the next 10, 20 years, then we're going to be facing a lot of heavy duty stuff.
But as you said, that's the whole purpose of, you know, us having spirit. And it seems like it's important that we help other people understand, you know, spirit will guide you. I mean, I'm lucky that the son that I live with, I can have open conversations with him about the spirit and how the spirit operates in my life, and encouraging him to have that similar relationship with spirit. My oldest son, not so much. So they're, you know, they're very different human beings as far as their receptivity. But it doesn't mean that, you know, my older son is not cognizant of my dedication. He just has a different way of thinking. But I also know, you know, not, I think we as parents, we worry about our children if they're not somehow connected to spirit. I've experienced that because I have 4 sons and they're all different. But then spirit reminds me, well, you made it somehow to here, and you just continue to lift up other people in the spirit and pray and trust that spirit is going to connect with them in due time and whatever circumstances is right for them at that moment. That's our journey. That's our soul growth.
So true. Kids are different. I have one daughter. My oldest daughter is well, actually, she's a stepdaughter, but they're both stepdaughters. But they've been strong in my life for the last 25 years or 30 years. And anyway, my oldest daughter is a strong Christian, and my young daughter is Urantium, more or less. So, so you know, they're both different, and they both look at things a little bit differently. But they both are very spiritual, but they approach it different directions.
Yeah. Well, I'm cognizant of the time when 30, we've had such a pleasant experience communicating with Sonjah and with each other. Is there anything that you guys wanted to share about the work that you did on Sunday other than what you said? I know that we're going to be having Daniel with us again on Friday, and Sundays for me are just not going to work with the kids. Yeah. I have too much going on and too many commitments and not enough personal time, and I'm getting to a place where I'm pretty overwhelmed and I need to take some personal time. So having Sunday off, and then I took Monday off as well, just to kind of recover. I'm feeling a little bit better, but I was still, that's why I left for a moment when we first came on, is my stomach is upset. It's just the stress. So I don't think I'm going to be on Sundays. Martha, if Sundays works for you, then I'm happy to have you do that.
Okay.
As we kind of feel our way through this new
Absolutely.
meeting arrangement.
No, thank you. I do think. Hi, Juan.
Tenemos 4 TRs.
We have 4 TRs.
Thankfully, we can share the love. I'm so glad you had that experience. How was that for you, Martha?
No, lovely. I had another experience with, I did do a TR session with, on the big group once, yeah. And obviously I do it alone quite often. Yeah, but it's certainly, I need to do a lot more training. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'll share with everybody on this group what John sent to us that he did on ChatGPT on how to be a good TR. So I'll share that with everybody after this meeting.
That'd be great.
I haven't had a chance to, I saw that in the email. I haven't had a chance to read it yet.
Yeah.
How fun, right?
Yeah.
GPT is figuring it out.
You know,
Yes. No.
John mentioned Monday that he was wanting dedication to one group more than many groups, and I'm finding I'm getting something for all these different groups, but that to really work on things and really spend time on things, we need to be dedicated to just one or two groups, because the time we spend in one or two groups is more apparent than time we spend on just a whole bunch of groups, because we need to dedicate ourselves to getting work done, and work done even in two groups is not going to be it's going to be difficult if we're producing or developing a group for everyone.
Right. It can scatter the thinking.
Yeah.
Did you have any more discussion about on Sunday? Did you have any more discussion about this group in relationship to YOM?
No, we did not. We just finished the.
We finished the chart
You-
thing that
yeah.
Martha was making on
Yeah.
the design team, and how
Yeah.
it functions and how it works. And we did work on that, and I think we did substantial work on that through with her son and everything. So I think it was worthwhile. But as far as UM goes, we didn't do.
Okay. It was just a query because I knew that we had discussed it a little bit. Personally, I feel like the work that we have done with that, we can forward to David to
Yeah.
work on a project, a product,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
then we can go back to working on the Family Learning Center. Juan gave us a great presentation about the Family Learning Center, but that maybe we can focus on that on Fridays after Daniel and or Wednesdays, Sundays, whatever you want to do. But I think we were in a good place when we walked away from the Family Learning Center. It seems like the Celestials were wanting us to be more cognizant of how we interact with each other. I mean, that's kind of
That's what
what we have been doing.
today.
Right. And even before you joined us, Bob, we had started doing that. Even before you
Yeah.
joined us, that's what they were having us do. Sonjah had given us some really good personal insights. And but I was feeling in my spirit that it's time to say, okay, we did that design team process. Let's follow it. Let's start using it with the
Oh,
Family
good.
Learning
We'll be
Center.
using we'll be using the design team for the Family Learning Centers.
Right.
That's so cool.
And so that's my thought. Any comments about that direction,
That sounds great to me.
Martha?
Yeah. And again, I'm trying to put everything together. I also think that we should focus on the 7 values, which is also something that we'd started with David. So I think that we should maybe do that as the next step because it's part of the family learning centers. And if we start on the 7
Yeah.
values, that can work towards our funding proposals, etc., to work with young people. So I think that maybe we should do 7 values before we do the family learning centers. But of course, Juan has done some amazing work. He's also done some amazing work on Miro. So yeah, we have to think about how to take Juan's work on the family learning centers on Miro and start with family learning centers as a subsection of the family, 7 values as a subsection of the family learning centers.
Exactly. I think that's one of the main part of the curriculum of family learning centers is the 7 core values.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that brings me to another thought, a thing that I have been pondering, Martha, and this, you and I need to spend some time with this because we can do this as a part of YOAM, but we need, it's becoming more apparent that we need a Miro subscription.
Yeah.
And a working Zoom subscription. And so therefore we need budget.
Yeah.
Because we need, all of us, if we're going to do the collaborative work on Miro, we all need to have access to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with the Zoom, we need to have access to the translation.
Yeah.
How
So
can we get
that,
money
can
to
do that,
UM?
yeah. Sorry?
pardon?
How can we get
Bob?
money to UM?
So, what we have done right now we're in the Reformation stages. So I have dedicated my business account to managing money for YOAM right now, because it's complicated with Martha in South Africa and David in Mexico. And I have an established account with PNC. That's how I was able to establish the MU PNC. So, we can do it through just send, you can put money in that. I think I have the phone number, the old, so when MUs and YOAM, we went different directions. We retained the phone. It was a gift from MU. So I have that phone number attached to the business account so that you can use Zelle to put money in there. Or, it's a long process to get reincorporated. So I've made some progress, but not entirely. So the main thing is I guess to be able to put it into the PNC or through PayPal. Bob, what works for you? If you're wanting to make a contribution, we're happy to do that. Figure out how to make it work for you.
Well, I can't give much, but I'm thinking about maybe $50 a month or something. That's about what I can do, but that's what I can
Okay.
do. But I'd like to be
Do
able to
you,
do that.
well, I appreciate that. Does it work for you to use Zelle, or do you need PayPal, or what
My
works for
daughter
you?
could use Zelle for me, and I think that she knows how to use Zelle. And but who do I connect it to, and how do I get connected?
Sure. So, what I will do is I will double check to make sure that the Zelle is attached to that phone number. And then I can give you the phone number to the phone that's attached to that business account. And the money that goes in there, I'm a level 2, 3 accountant. And so I keep track of all of my records. I'm a QuickBooks accountant. So I'm tracking the funds that go in that are specific to YOAM until we can get some sort of a separate account. So if that works for you, and that's what I was talking to about with David yesterday. David wanted me to get with you, Martha, about anything having to do with accounting and money, so he can stay focused. I've got to get his he asked me about Western Union, and so I figured out Western Union. So I'll send him an email today. You can do Western Union online now, and for Mexico,
Yeah.
it's less expensive
And remember,
than I
because
think
it
than the
is the
PayPal.
I've already given for August. I gave to Mission Urantia, but for
Sure.
September, I'd like to give to you. So
Okay, Bob, I
paid
appreciate
I'm
that.
gonna get paid once a month, Social Security and some for VA. So
Okay, perfect. You're awesome. Yeah, we'll have it set up for the first part of
Yeah.
September, and be able to give you more information about that. And yeah, sincerely appreciate your contributions. It will help us. Yeah.
I was just saying that today it is the birthday of Jesus, and so
It
it does seem like a good day
is.
to make a transfer, if that's possible.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Perfect. Okay, so back to what you were discussing with the 7 core values. What was it? I'm not registering what David wanted with the 7 core values.
David just he asked all of us to write something down about the 7 core values, if I'm not mistaken, and to send it to him. Remember, he wanted to write a book. I just want to see what we all wrote, but we did all write 7 core values.
Was this a while back was this
It
to
was
go
a
to the
while back,
YOAM?
I think right at the beginning. I think it was right at the beginning, maybe of Mission Urantia. Let me quickly go and have a look.
Maybe we need to revisit that with him before we go down that path. We were in the process also.
Yeah.
We were also in the place of discussing the 98
Yes.
terms and all of that.
Yeah.
But I felt a pretty clear direction from Sonjah about the Family Learning Center. Probably Juan was getting that similar thing because he gave us that great piece. So let's figure out what we can discuss it further too on Friday. We may get some more direction from
Perfect. Yeah.
Azala
Yeah.
and
Perfect.
Daniel on where to go with that. So I think the other thing that we've talked about with regards to the values, and this goes to the design team, if we go the route of discussing the 7 core values, and we're getting better about asking questions, it might be that we need to develop questions that are like, how can we best communicate these core values to others in a non hierarchical way? In other words, when you go to somebody and say, these are the 7 core values, and we've discussed this before, Martha, and you don't give
Yeah.
them the opportunity to contribute to the conversation, there's a natural resistance. You know, like,
Yeah.
who are you to tell me what the 7 core values are?
Yeah.
It might be that we need to explore how to get people in conversation about value systems and the values that govern their lives. So perhaps we can explore that as a design team when we start talking about those values again, to get people into the conversation about values.
Yeah.
Because that's
We
what we
also
did with our proposal, our John Templeton proposal. We turned it into questions.
remember we also spoke about examples.
What do you mean?
Yeah. And remember also when you spoke about the Japanese example of teaching young children in a bus, that whole idea of, can we use images or videos to show examples of those values, so that people can recognize it in world cinema. So obviously we'd look for very creative ideas of modeling these values.
And then my thought process goes is, where is that in relationship to our developing the Family Learning Center? Where were we with that in the conversation? Because it's been a couple months since we were working on that.
Remember, we had done those 9. David he'd asked us all to work on the 9 different. He'd asked us all to write things, and then we were putting them together. So, Juan, ¿tú quieres ayudarnos? ¿Tú recuerdas dónde estábamos? Voy a mirar también con la familia, los centros de familias sostenibles. ¿Dónde estábamos?
En realidad, lo que hemos hecho acerca de eso no ha tenido sustancia, no ha tenido. Yo creo que lo mejor es que recomencemos de cero, aplicando los 7 valores a ese aspecto. Porque en realidad antes no hemos avanzado mucho y casi toda esa información quedó diluida.
Yeah.
Recuerda que pasábamos de un tema a otro así, tac, tac, sin ningún orden. Y entonces todo ese trabajo hay que de repente ir atrás, ver más o menos qué fue lo que se planteó y qué podemos replantear ahora acerca de eso. Ese trabajo que yo hice fue sobre la base de lo que habíamos hablado ya antes.
Okay.
Pero era una forma mía de ver cómo le entrábamos al tema. Porque recuerda que David lo propuso, y propuso que iba a hacer uno en un año en
Yeah.
México. Lo cual yo dije que lo mejor era hacer primero, hacer el piloto entre nosotros y después aplicarlo a cada país o a cada región.
So,
Entonces,
sorry, I didn't translate, but he was saying that I'm afraid it doesn't translate at all. He was just saying that we had agreed that we should make a pilot that can be done in any country, that we should work on creating one model that everybody else can work from and create their own versions of.
Okay, and
Yeah.
so part of doing that, I think we would have to put into place lots of curiosities, because we've talked about this before. We can't go just into any community and say we have the answer. That's very colonial. We have to be able to go into a community and say, what are you doing? How might you solve these problems? And how can we help you with these things? Or do you think you even have a problem? Do you even think that you need this? Do you have something that speaks to the family? So in our model, we have to create the query. Yeah, go ahead.
I think you're absolutely right. Isn't that what Daniel had asked us a million times to do, which is go to all the cultures of the world and look for best practices in parenting? And that's an anthropological study. And we really just need to employ people and get funding and send them out into the world. So maybe you and I must do the funding proposal to get funding to send examples of best practice into the world and publish them. Make them in videos, make them in TikToks.
Well, and Juan, I see your hand, but let me say one thing about that again, so everybody knows the research piece is very important. And I'm starting the research course to address these things this fall. So I'll have one full semester of research methodologies to help us figure out those pieces for exactly this, how to ask the questions appropriately, et cetera, et cetera. Juan, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sí, señor. Juan?
Ok, acerca de eso,
About
yo
this.
estuve haciendo una búsqueda en el libro Durantia, el documento número 177.
He was going
177.
through Urantia book paper 177.
Y ahí Jesús nos enseña las mejores prácticas de enseñanza y de crianza de un niño.
So Jesus teaches us the best examples of teaching a child.
Y no solamente el libro de Urantia tiene ese capítulo para eso, no, hay muchos más capítulos dedicados a lo que son las mejores prácticas para la enseñanza y crianza de niños.
So there are many more chapters that have these best practices for teaching children.
Pienso que, ¿qué más ancestral que eso? Hace 2000 años. Y además, viendo la economía nuestra, no tenemos los recursos como para ir a hacer estudios de campo.
So this was 2000, I just want to translate, Sergei, this was 2000 years ago. And looking at the economy, we don't have the funds to do research on, on grassroots situations.
But we have Juan and AI.
Yes.
We have Juan in AI, and his Juan in AI, he can Google every culture and ask every best practice from every resource, and we'll have it on Friday.
But it will cost
Done.
you. It will cost you.
Juan, what is your price?
No price.
No price.
A
You're a
new
beautiful
computer.
soul. Right?
Sí, yo creo que si nos de verdad leemos esas partes interesantes del libro Urantia, creo que tenemos más o menos un 80% resuelto el problema de las mejores prácticas. Porque él ahí hace un ejemplo de un niño que se llama Juan Marcos y relata cómo fue que Juan Marcos llegó a ser ese niño tan especial para él. Entonces, si ustedes quieren, yo me puedo extender un poquito más en eso, en esa búsqueda, presentarle algo más conciso, si me lo permiten, y discutir acerca de eso y de otras fuentes que podamos conseguir. Porque también tenemos que adaptarnos ahorita a la enseñanza presente. ¿Qué es lo que está fallando ahorita en el presente para ver si no lo repetimos en el futuro? Y entonces adecuar esas lecciones a una nueva forma de enseñar.
So we're going to use these examples for a new way of teaching. So Juan, tú vas a hacer un sumario de papel 177.
Sí, de
He'll
hecho ya
do
lo
a
tengo.
summary.
De hecho ya lo tengo,
Yeah.
pero podría adecuarlo un poquito más a los 7 valores.
Okay. Oh, I see. He's going to try and align it to the 7 values. That's very useful.
Que sería que sería la forma de ponerlos al presente, de actualizarlos.
Then,
So,
Kona,
go ahead.
sorry, I was just going to summarize and say, am I then correct that we're going to start by looking at best practices? We're going to look at paper 177. We're going to align it to the 7 values. So we're going to work on both best practices and the 7 values? Or what else?
So I'm going to I need to sit with it because, so for instance, when we were preparing to open a school, I had to do a lot of research on all of those things that pertain to opening a school. There's lots of different facets. And so my business mind goes, well, if you're going to open, and we talked about the virtual family learning center, if we're going to open a learning center or a school, what are the different things that we need to think about and what is the logical structure? And that's where a Miro board comes in pretty handy. Because there's definitely the curriculum. Oh, I've got a blower out here. I can't even hear myself. It is fine. It's cool enough we have the doors open or the windows open, so so when it comes to like the virtual, there is the big pieces of looking as far as what does this look like before we get into the minutia.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what I would, for me, my brain works on looking at the big picture. What does that look like? Maybe we map out, here's the front, if we're doing a virtual, here's the front page. What does the front page look like? Where do we want to direct people? What do resources look like? So it's looking at the bigger picture, and then the messages, in all of the what we call the minutia is how to incorporate those 7 core values into the teaching and the training. But what does it look like to go to a family learning center? right? What does it look like to walk into the door or to land on that page? And why? Why would we go there and what's going to get us there? That's the part I think that will help us with the research, with the putting together the other pieces, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't build a store by just building a product.
Yeah. Okay, it's 8 o'clock or my time.
Yes, it is. It's definitely time that we give well wishes to everyone here. So we'll have Daniel on Friday. I'll facilitate for Daniel, and then we can move into more of this conversation afterwards.
Perfect.
And
Thank you.
and then Sunday, you guys will pick up to whatever we worked on Friday, and then we'll
Friday,
be back here
perfect.
on Wednesday.
Okay. Thank
And
you
then,
very much.
Martha, when can you and I meet about YOAM?
Do you want to do
You
it a
wanna-
little bit later today, like in 2 hours, or what
Oh,
time?
that's
would
10
suit you?
p.m. That's 10 p.m. your time.
Yeah,
That's
or we
quite
can just
late.
have a quick. Okay.
Let's communicate by email or WhatsApp.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
All
Okay.
right. Love and blessings to all of you.
Thank you. Love to all. Thanks,
Te
Juan.
amo, mi
Thanks,
amor.
Bob.
Gracias a ti.
Mi
Ah, te
hermano.
amo.
Thanks,
Qué
Bob.
belleza.
Te amo.
Qué belleza. Muchas
Chao.
gracias.
All
Gracias a
right.
todos.
God bless. Have some
All right.
rest.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Gracias.
Hola.
¿Cómo estás, mi doctor? ¿Quieres parar de
No
grabar?
puedo, no puedo.
No
A lo
puedes.
mejor tú sí, a lo mejor tú sí. Ve a ver si en la parte de arriba hay un puntico rojo, dice grabando,
Sí.
pero al lado,
No, no me dejas.
al lado tiene una cuestión para pausa y otro para.
No,
para-
no lo tiene.
Ok. No,
It
porque
doesn't.
a lo mejor es del anfitrión esa parte.
No, it request host to start. No, it won't let me.
Bueno, de todas maneras, yo lo que hago es recortarle al video esta parte y listo.
Sí. O
¿Y qué
te
tal?
llamo. Yo te llamo por teléfono.
Ok, está muy bien.
Te llamo por teléfono. Ok.
Gracias, Marta.
Gracias. Bye bye.
Bye.